Hello, 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 hello. Today I'm doing a video on state rights. And you're going to be surprised where the problem is and who and what the problem is. We're going to take a simple incident that actually happened. And I'm going to go and read you certain things out of our Constitution. I'm going to start by telling you that state rights are very important and have to be protected. They need to be protected. The ability of a state to govern itself is very, very important. But first I'm going to ask you all, why are you paying taxes to your state for your governing body, which might be a state Congress or state, whatever you want to call it, and a governor, if you don't insist on them doing their job? Now, before we start anything, I want to talk to you about the promises made to each and every one of you. In order to form a more perfect union, not a perfect union, a more perfect union, to establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves, that's the people, and our posterity, that's your children. Those are the promises that the Constitution makes. They're found in the preamble. Now to get about state rights. Where is it going to? We're going to use a simple little act of treason. Treason is when an official government body deliberately does something against the Constitution as it is plainly, simply written. And who committed these acts of treason? These acts of treason were committed by the Supreme Court. 5 judges made a ruling against the Constitution of the United States and its direct wording. Now, where is this at? Well, people, there's 10 commandments to the Constitution that shall not and will not be broken. They call it the first 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights. These are the greatest fears our forefathers had of a central government. Now, our dictatorship within our country, which is called the Supreme Court, because when they start making laws and directing things to be done against the Constitution, which is an act of treason, that's a dictatorship. They weren't voted into power. They were appointed into power. And the only way they can be removed is through an act of treason. And yes, this act of treason was done blatantly. Oh, you guys aren't going to like it. Now, do you remember the Supreme Court ruling on prayer in school? 5-4, no prayer in school. Now, I said an act of treason. That means it has to be directly against the Constitution. Let's read the First Amendment at the very beginning. Congress shall make no laws respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise therefor. By declaring no prayer in school, you are limiting free exercise. Therefore, that is an act of treason against the Constitution. Plain, simple, it's right there, open. But, furthermore, let's read something else. The power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, which involves religion, totally, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states, respectively, or to the people. Now, where is the problem? Now, this is about state rights, not about the Supreme Court just right up front disregarding the Constitution of the United States. But where is this about state rights? That power to decide whether or not prayer is in school cannot be made by the federal government whatsoever, Congress, the President, or the Supreme Court. To do so is an act of treason against the Constitution. Those 5 judges should be standing trial this very moment for treason. Now, let's go on a little further. Who should we bring up to trial? Well, you see, it's reserved for the people and the states. So the first people that should be there objecting boisterously is the representatives of the state. And who are they? Oh, we don't have them any longer. They used to be called the Senate. Now they represent the Democrat Party or the Republican Party. The Senate does not represent the states any longer. You got Republicans and Democrats. You don't have Virginians. You don't have Massachusetts. You don't have New Yorkers. You don't have Floridans. You don't have people from Montana, Alaskans. You don't. You got Republicans and Democrats in the Senate. So there's nobody there representing the states. Well, they're the first that should have said, whoa, Supreme Court, you can't make a ruling. That is an act of treason against the Constitution. States have lost some power in state rights right there, because Senate does not represent the state, but it represents the Republicans and Democrat Party. Secondly, the governors. Each governor should be suing. That is the responsibility of the states to declare how religion shall be within the states, not the Supreme Court. Supreme Court should not be making rules. They should be seeing to it that each and every individual in a state is treated equally and fairly. Give you an example of mistreatment: slavery. When slavery existed, you had people in the states that were treated with all kinds of freedoms and liberty, and people who had none. That is unfair in the state. Either everybody is free or everybody's a slave. One or the other. You can't have a mixture. That is not treating everybody equally. That's our Constitution. Now, sure, we don't want everybody slaves. We want everybody free. And that's the way it should be. But it's not happening. That's where the Supreme Court's judgment should be. To see to that everyone is treated equally and fairly. For example, gay marriages. Heterosexual people get married, gay people can't. Well, first thing, change it to union certificates, or union degrees, or union whatever you want. Let the churches do the marriaging, let the government respect the union between two people, and call it that. And everybody is equal in the eyes of the state and the law. In God, that's another story. So where's the governor standing up for the state rights about prayer in school? Oh, they didn't say nothing. Why? It's their responsibility to you, the citizens, to stand up for your individual state and their rights. Why aren't they suing these judges for treason against the Constitution? It's plain and obvious. They ignored the First Amendment and ignored the 10th Amendment. State rights are important to keep the federal government in check. Since our Congress is no longer functioning for the people or the states because they're too busy representing political parties and corporations, well, how about Congress? Because state rights, and then from there it says to the people, I believe, on the 10th Amendment. Let's take a check. We'll just get the book out right now. Let's see what the 10th Amendment says at the end. Or to the people. Well, where's the representation for the people when the Supreme Court made that ruling? Which it cannot make. Oh, Congress. Oh, no, those are Democrats and Republicans. You got the Republicans representing the Republicans and the Democrats representing the Democrats. But the people, what about representing the people? They're not there. Again, failure of our Congress, our federal government, to do the job they are designed for. And then they say the Constitution's not working. Who's allowing that? You, the state, is allowing your state rights to be taken away. You, the people, are allowing Congress to take away your individual rights. Why aren't you the people out there suing the Supreme Court for treason? Because it is an act of treason to go directly against the Constitution. We have no dictatorship. I don't care how they're appointed. There is a way to get them removed. And that is called an act of treason against the Constitution of the United States. And when the Supreme Court ruled on prayer in school, they committed an act of treason against the Constitution of the United States. You notice they've been backing off since I've been doing these videos about prayer and religion. Because they know they did. That needs to get struck down, and those judges need to be held accountable for their decision to interpret the Constitution. They do not have that right. They must enforce the Constitution as it is written. If they interpret the Constitution and at any time that removes the freedoms guaranteed by the Constitution to any one individual, you have committed an act of treason against the Constitution. Now they say, well, the atheists don't want to pray in school. They don't have to. Well, my children's being introduced to something I don't believe in. Well, my children in school is introduced to something I don't believe in. The hypocrisy of history. When they say George Washington is the first president of the United States of America. He's the first congressional president under the Constitution of the United States of America. But under the Articles of Confederation, there were 7 more presidents before George Washington. And how many during the Revolutionary War? They're not mentioned. They're taught what's not real. Now, I object to that, so are we going to remove history from all the classes of the country? No. Same thing goes with prayer. States, you have to understand, your rights are being whittled away by a Democrat-Republican Congress, by a Supreme Court that no longer reads the Constitution and says it's against the Constitution. They decide to interpret the Constitution. You know what interpret gives you? Take an example. The Bible, the Holy Bible. How many different versions are there of the Holy Bible? They're all taken from one Bible, but they've been interpreted by different people at different times, which makes their writing basically the same, but not the same. Same thing goes with the interpretation of the Constitution. Different people at different times interpret it differently. Cannot be interpreted. Has to be read, understood as it is written. And it's up to the states to ensure that their rights are protected. Ensure that those senators represent the states they're supposed to represent, not the political parties. So, where is the problem with state rights? Why are state rights whittling away? Why are we losing a very vital part of what makes the United States a very individual, unique type of country? Nobody's doing anything about it. They're letting the political parties and corporations run the government instead of standing up and saying, no, it stops here, it stops now. What's the matter? Governors, you're afraid to stand up for your state? State governments, are you afraid to stand up to the federal government? We're not going to fix these problems alone. But we together, you, the governors, the Congress, me, and the people, together, we can take our Constitution and force it down the throats of every federal government official that's supposed to enforce it, and ensure that it is enforced as it is written. Yes, that's what JD's all about. That's what I stand for. That's why I say I will take your voice with me. It is not me. It is not what I would like to see. It's what the Constitution says that matters above all else. It is each and every state right be guaranteed. Each and every citizen's promises made by the Constitution be kept. You all must understand. Yes, I'm riled up because you all are letting our great country become like the rest of the world, where the people are just there for the ride and to pay the taxes. Governors, you allow your state rights to go away. People, your individual voices, you say it don't matter, you don't vote because it don't matter. 2016 is probably going to be the most important election our nation has ever seen. Your vote matters dearly, because the only way we are going to get there, and the only way we are going to put the supreme law of the land to the supreme law of the land, is to speak up and demand it. And me as your president and you as my supporters, we will stand before Congress and the Supreme Court and demand that our Constitution, as it is written, not the way we would like it to be written, as it is written, shall be enforced. And that each and every state has rights that must be respected by the Congress. Believe me, our Congress is like a mall. When I say it's like a mall. The Senate, they work for the states. Go into a mall. People in J.C. Penney's, they work for J.C. Penney's. The people in Sears work for Sears. The people in Macy's works for Macy's. The people in the little shops work for those little shops. They don't work for one group or another. They don't work for them all either. Each and every senator works for a state, not a political party. Each and every House representative works for the people, not a political party. That's the way the Constitution is written. And that's the way they shall be. Your voice must be there. When your voice is not at Congress, when your state is not represented, but when the political parties are, every single citizen and all the states lose constantly. State rights are a very, very important part of this nation and what builds it and makes it the greatest nation in the world. Do we need to be like European nations? Do we need to be like other countries throughout the world? Do we need to have a government like China where a court of appointed individuals will dictate how we shall live, whether we like it or not? Totally disregarding the Constitution of the United States of America? Is that what we've become? I think not. So state rights, how important are they? As important as your liberties. And they all need to be protected. We're paying good money out of every day when we pay taxes, sales taxes, payroll taxes, other unemployment to the states for a reason. And we need to protect their rights. The Senate should be there fighting for each and every state, not for the Republican Party or the Democrat Party. And the House, each representative should be fighting for each and every citizen, not for the Republican Party or the Democrat Party. But they don't understand that. So we need to send me to the White House so I can drag each and every state and each and every individual with me to Congress and force your voices down their throats. It's terrible what I'm saying, but it's true. Think about it. Where and when did the Constitution say the Supreme Court could ignore the Constitution? It does not. Where and when does the Senate get to disregard the states for the political parties? It does not. Where and when does the House get to disregard the citizens for the political parties? They do not. The Constitution is not being abided by. And in that process, the people are losing their rights, the states are losing their rights. Instead, political parties and corporations are getting it all. You want to defend state rights? Better start looking towards JD. You want to defend your individual rights? You better start looking towards JD. You want the promises made by the Constitution in the preamble for you, each and every one of you? Then you better start looking towards JD. I cannot and will not belong to a political party. I will not turn them away for support, but I will not join any. Because each and every individual in that political party will be equally represented by me, as well as each and every individual that is not a member of that political party. So this is what state rights is all about. Do you want to protect your state? Do you want to protect the Constitution? Do you want to protect you as an individual? I love the 10th Amendment. And I'm going to read it to you again. Because it says basically the whole thing. The power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution. Doesn't say by the federal government. Doesn't say by the political parties. Doesn't say by anything. Nor prohibited by it to the states. I mean, the states have power to prohibit powers to the federal government. Are reserved to the states respectfully or to the people. That's where there's a problem. The 10th Amendment has gone invisible. Think about that. First 10 amendments are there for the greatest fears our forefathers had. We must not allow any of them. That's why I call the first 10 amendments the 10 commandments of our Constitution. And the preamble is the promise that our Constitution makes to each and every one of you. It's up to you to decide. Do you want political parties to continue until you become nothing and only corporations and political parties? And if you're not one of any, you're nobody? Because that's what's happening. Or do you want to say, enough is enough? JD, you get in the White House. You keep your promise to us and bring our voice to Congress. And we together will fix our nation one step at a time. Thank you. This is JD. 2016 is our time. 2008 showed you me. 2016 is time for us together to defend the states and the people against the regimes that are trying to take over our federal government and ignore the Constitution of the United States of America as it is written. Thank you again.